Are you looking forward to, as much as I am, the awkwardness and also the matchups of the OU Texas holdovers sticking around for a season or two, having to play UCF, BYU, Houston? I didn't want a clean break. I didn't want OU and Texas leaving at the same time that the other four came in. I wanted to see the awkwardness of throwing them all together and seeing them play and seeing some interesting matchups.
Oh, I hope that there's a restaurant.
I think a lot of people want
that. Yeah. I just hope there's a restaurant that can like that flavor and I can eat it all the time, because I do want to see Texas in Houston at Houston Stadium. I want to see Oklahoma have to go to Orlando and then maybe even the next week have to go to Provo back to back. I want to see those things because, look, they created this situation, and I hope that there is at least a little bit of pettiness in the scheduling on the way out. Not to make it unfair, just to make it to where it's like, look, you guys gave us this headache, and our only Tylenol is sending you to the places you don't want to go.
But you're right, Paul, but the history shows that even if there's a reason and validation to be able to stick it, where, that somehow or another they'll get nervous or whatever. Mac Rhodes told both Craig and Paul yesterday, I was not on the show yesterday, but I remember one of the comments is if the computer algorithm spits out somebody being in Orlando one week, they won't be in Provo the next week, although if that happens, it needs to be Texas or Oklahoma. That's for sure.
What do you think, Steve?
Well, I mean, it's still going to be Texas and Oklahoma because they play that neutral site game every year in Dallas. There's going to be 4 home games and 4 road games for Texas and Oklahoma each. So I'm curious to see how the schedule spits it out. I can tell you already, I've heard reports Texas will come down to Houston next year. I think it will be in October. So far, I know a few things about Houston's schedule. I know Joseph Duarte, another Houston beat writer of the Houston Chronicles, reported on them of TCU will come down to Houston on week 3, September 16th. And also Texas is going to come down to Houston probably sometime in October. Those are the only things I know about the Big 12 schedule at this time. But yeah, this transition stage is going to be interesting. I know the fan bases of Houston, UCF, Cincinnati, they're looking forward to hosting some of these teams like these Texases and Oklahomas in their stadiums before they go on their way out. So I think that's something that those fan bases are going to look forward to. Those are going to be some big games for them too that they'll get to host. I know some people were talking about Houston wanting to schedule its game against Texas at NRG. I can tell you right now, that is not happening. They are not going to give Texas a neutral site game. They're going to make Texas come down to TD-ECU Stadium and play in front of Houston's home stadium there when Texas does come this season.
Texas would want them to do that. That turns it like that right now. If they have it at their home stadium, Texas will have an allotment of 8,000 tickets or whatever it is. However many they sell. I think it's between 4,000 and 8,000 depending on the size of the stadium. But like you have that allotment. So right now they can control the allotment before it gets to the secondary market. And for a game like that, Houston fans will show up and go so that to keep the Texas fans out. If you move it across the street, right, then, it's not really across the street, but you move it to NRG Stadium, then you have taken away your home field advantage and you're opening up the city of Houston. People who say that, I don't know if they've ever been to Houston, because they don't understand the breadth of that city. It's gigantic. And what are there more of in Houston? What are there more of in Houston than Cougars? Longhorns. So you just open up the floodgates for that to be a burnt orange home game. It would be the foolishness.
They can't
for them to do that.
Yeah, I don't think they can do that, and I think that that would, again, you're supposed to be welcoming these 4 schools. Thank God they're coming in. It all worked out. It came in like almost went seamlessly after the Texas and OU story. Remember all the unknown, and that's how we all got to know each other with the comings and goings and the rumors and speculation. Yeah, if they go to NRG, there'll be 65,000 people, and 58,000 of them will be Texas fans. That's good, and rightfully so. Hell, if they played Houston and Baylor down in Houston, Baylor fans, even though they don't always travel great, they're known as kind of hot and cold. They're known, like in Houston, to have a huge alumni base. That game has to be on the campus. At Houston, it will be. And I can't wait for them to go to Orlando if they do, depending on how many years they're left. I think just the one. Nippert, that'd be an interesting thing. They've been to Provo. Don't send them to Provo. They've been to, although that's a hell of a place to play. They've been to Provo and got beat by Taysom Hill. Let them go to Nippert. Let them go to Orlando. Let them go to Houston.
Yeah, so Houston had that game against Oklahoma in 2016 at NRG Stadium. I'd say Houston actually probably outnumbered Oklahoma fans in that game. It did feel like a home field advantage for the Cougars, and they beat Oklahoma with that kick six in that game to start that 2016 season with Tom Herman.
Well, they did, but that was a team that was loaded. You remember that was a team. I'm not sure if Greg Ward was on that team. That might have been a little bit earlier than that.
Yeah.
But they were pretty good. There were thoughts that after they beat Oklahoma, remember, there were thoughts, are they going to interrupt the party as a non-Power 5 school? And then, of course, that fell apart. And then the Herman thing fell apart as well. No, Houston fans can get there. It's just that traditionally, there are a lot of schools in the Big 12. Baylor's at times, there are issues. TCU had the once-in-a-lifetime team or close to it other than back in the 30s and 40s. And then Houston, it's a little iffy when it comes to the fan bases. That's the one thing that UCF is going to bring to the table. Cincinnati's going to bring to the table, and Brigham Young's going to bring to the table, that those places really do light up their stadiums. And that might be unfair to the ones I mentioned, but we've been to Amon Carter. We've been to Baylor. I mean, a bunch. We've seen some of these schools that are sporadic, I think is probably the word to use when it comes to sometimes the conflicts when it comes to filling up their stadiums.